Ordinary looking tea biscuits, right? Wrong. This might seem harmless to you, but what if we tell you it is laced with the mind-altering, lethal LSD? This is just one of the ways the drug mafia is using to hoodwink the police. The drug mafia has gone high-tech. They use darknet to plan transactions and home deliver the drugs using courier and postal services. And their valued customers could be your children.
Here on display are the drugs that have been collected from the 6 people who have been arrested. In fact, 2 of them are, one is an African and one is a Nigerian. You can see the display. This is LSD biscuit here. Apparently LSD solution, a drop of it would be put onto the biscuit. This is, you can clearly see here, it's something like, it's a very light biscuit and various pellets of it. And this is a post that was received by these Nigerian nationals, which has come all the way.
This cache of drugs was seized from a drug cartel operating out of Hyderabad. Police were led to them after they nabbed a dealer who sold drugs to school children. The same cartel is also linked to several high-flying Tollywood celebrities. These people have now been summoned by the enforcement wing of the Excise and Prohibition Department for questioning.
I picked up 9 drug peddlers and seized 300 grams of cocaine, 42 grams of MDMA and 27 LSD blots.
But it is not Hyderabad alone. On July 19th, Mumbai police arrested a 39-year-old man with 4.1 gram of heroin outside a city school, making it very clear that gullible students as young as 12 are the latest target of drug dealers. Neighboring Thana too is trapped in the drug net.
In city areas, peer pressure, the kind of society or surrounding is available. So they are motivated to try new things in life. Because of this thing, I think to an extent some youngsters get attracted to such drugs.
Buying drugs made as easy as online shopping while the drug mafia has upped their game, we ask, why are the state governments and the centre maintaining a stoic silence? Why are they turning a blind eye as our children pay the price? Mirror Now report.
Well, this is a campaign we're running on the channel here at Mirror Now, and we take very, very seriously. We only wish that the government would take this problem as seriously as we do. I just want to go back to that one visual that completely terrified me today. Tea biscuits, Mari biscuits with LSD in them. What are parents to look for? What are we to find? How are we to tell if our children have access to these drugs? In Thane, over the last 24 hours, the police have busted a hookah parlor that was actually serving drugs with hookahs. Children from school were using Instagram #rave to invite each other to this hookah parlor and inform each other that the drugs were available. This is happening in Thane, in Mumbai, in Chennai. Between Chennai and Delhi, an Air India flight has now been found with drugs in its cargo, and it is the food caterers who have been arrested. We can see what's happening in Hyderabad, and we understand that this is happening all over the country. In fact, our reporter today spoke to a couple of drug peddlers in Mumbai about why they're targeting children. Take a look.
ब्राउन शुगर करके ड्रग्स का नाम था। कहाँ से लाते थे इतना असर मालूम नहीं था, लेकिन ये किसी और के दूसरे के थ्रू से बिकवाते थे। 2022 होगी सर, और वो नशा वो भी करते थे और बेचते भी थे दूसरों को। और बहुत से 18 इयर्स के भी 19 के भी बहुत से ऐसे आते थे, यंग छोकरे भी रहते थे। दिन रात दोनों टाइम सर बिकता था ये, का कोई टाइम टेबल नहीं था, मतलब हर टाइम बिकता था ये। कॉलेज के बाहर ही सामने पान की दुकान पे, क्या चीज़ की दुकान के पास खड़े रह के बेचते थे सर। तो स्टूडेंट खुद ही वहाँ पे जाते थे चल के। बहुत से तो किसी को पता रहता है कि हाँ यहाँ पे ये इंसान खड़े रहता है, यहाँ बेचता है, तो ऐसे आते थे लोग।
ये सब कॉलेजेस पे हर जगह बाहर सब रहते हैं लड़के लोग, और उन लोग इधर उधर से सब उन लोग का पूरा कांटेक्ट रहता है, एक को देंगे दूसरे को देंगे, फिर उसके बाद उसमें पूरा चेन बनती है, फिर उसके बाद ये रेगुलर कॉलेज में चलने लगता है। अभी LSD जिसको एसिड पेपर भी बोलते हैं, LSD है, और कोकीन, वीड, हैश, किधर भी हम लोग का बिल्डिंग सर्कल में था, उसमें भी आधे से ज़्यादा लड़के ड्रग्स करते थे। सब बिल्डिंग एरिया यानी पूरे मीन्स साउथ मुंबई में जिधर भी जाएंगे आपको कहीं ना कहीं कोई ना कोई तो मिलेगा ही आपको।
Well, we've proven beyond doubt that the drugs are in our schools. The doctors know it. The people who are working as, in de-addiction centers know it. Parents have heard about it, but somehow the government seems completely and utterly oblivious to this massive threat that now looms over the future of our very country. Joining me on the show this evening, Aijaz Ilmi, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Padamshree awardee Father Joseph H Pereira, who joins us as the Managing Trustee of Kripa Foundation, joining us from Goa. Father Joseph has been working in de-addiction his entire life. Vikram Singh, former DGP Uttar Pradesh. Dr. Sagar Mundada, Psychiatrist and Youth Wing, Head of the Indian Medical Association. Vasireddy Amarnath is an educationist. We also have a recovering addict who joins us to share his experience. And Anubha Sahai is a concerned parent. I'm going to go straight to Father Joseph Pereira. Father Joseph Pereira, you've been working at Kripa for so long. Explain to us now, are you seeing younger and younger addicts come to you? Is this a problem now that has also hit our schools?
Absolutely. When we began in 1981, our average age used to be 45 to 55, and mostly alcohol related, very few charas and ganja. Today, we are between 14 and 24, and mostly school going, college going, BPO workers, a whole lot of them are attracted to this new designer drugs. So that's the answer. But there is a whole lot of new, very, very new kind of attractive drugs that are coming around, which the catch reveals to us is making this scenario more and more difficult to access.
Well, Father Pereira, tell us something. One of the things that parents are most concerned about is these new designer drugs that you're talking about. They're very difficult to detect. They're very difficult to tell whether or not our children are on these drugs. What are the telltale signs? What should parents be looking for?
Well, first and foremost, before I answer this question, I want to tell these parents that they should take responsibility for what is happening to their children. It is they who have caused this phenomenon. The essential quality of a person, of a child who has gone into addiction, is he has had a broken relationship with one of the parents, or he has noticed some kind of an alienation from the family. So with regard to noticing signs, first let me tell you that the child feels isolated. The child feels not loved by the parents, and therefore when you see that happening to a child, you must realize that that child is seeking love and comfort somewhere else. Addiction is a violation of an I-thou relationship. Are you hearing me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, see, when the child feels not loved, the I-thou relationship is broken. He starts an I-it relationship. And you notice a child becoming non-performing in the school and also getting interested in secretive living, whether spending more time in the bathroom or perhaps finding friends whose parents have also certain problems. And basically a child that was so good in studies suddenly drops, his interest goes away. Secondly, the child does not even care about certain basic human needs, cleanliness, and all those kind of things, which the parents can definitely observe.
Okay, let me open this up right now.
Eating habits also change.
The eating habits also change. Let me open this up to the rest of the panel at this point. I want to bring in Vikram Singh, former DGP Uttar Pradesh. Vikram Singh, we're hearing more and more stories about drug busts that happened outside of schools. We just had drug peddlers tell us that they have a spot that they stand at outside of the schools or the colleges. Children know, or students know where they need to come, how much they need to pay. There's word of mouth that gets around. Hookah parlors are being used to distribute drugs to children. Has this problem always been this bad, or in your opinion right now, are we staring at possibly a crisis situation in India?
Faye, I could not agree more with Father Pereira. He is not on track. He first encountered drug problem in 1981 and I encountered it in Agra as SSP Agra in 1988. Even then, respected father, the average age of students who were targeted by the mafia was around 12 years. And again, as you very rightly said, I would not say, I found the parents who were unsparing. Forgive my using a very harsh word, which does not seem to be contemporary and acceptable today, but those parents and teachers who were unsparing did not suffer the indignity or did not have to suffer the agony of their child taking to drugs. But those parents who perhaps were, I would say, magnanimous and doting to a fault, the teachers who looked the other way, and there the mafia prospered. Today, Faye, what we are seeing is a cancer spreading to all parts of the body. As the peddler confessed before your reporter, that wherever you are in Mumbai, drugs are available and one can access drugs wherever, through rave parties, through Instagram, through Facebook, and also through hookah bars. And the hookah bars have telltale names. Nashwa. Nashwa in contemporary Hindi or Urdu language would mean intoxication. And therefore, all hookah bars need to be closed down immediately because they are a facade. They are a platform for peddling drugs. And drugs, as I in your earlier program mentioned, Faye, that all the churanwalas and most of the ice cream peddlers and others double up as drug peddlers outside the schools. Otherwise, the mafia has no access to within the confines of the school. They are the conduit of the drugs to go out to the children. Now the police and the excise department, their investigation is so shoddy that once you arrest a person, go into the details, interrogate where he got the drugs from, where were the supplies from, who are the recipients of the illegal gratifications in the police department and in the excise department. I do not recall a single dismissal in the police department or in the excise department where action was taken against those, and this mafia activity takes place with the connivance and the complicity of the excise and the police. Let me place it on record.
Well, that was going to be my follow-up question to you, Vikram Singh. While you say parents must take responsibility, and we will take responsibility as parents, but my question is, where are the drugs coming from? How are they getting into our cities? If the parents, you're saying, are looking the other way, there must be people within the narcotics department, within the police department, within the government that are looking the other way as well. How are these drugs getting to our schools at all? If the children know which guy standing at the street corner has the drugs, how is it that the police informants don't know that? How is it that the police don't know which guy has the drugs? Where are they coming from? Which highway are they using? Go ahead, Vikram Singh.
I apportion the first blame to the police department and then to the excise department. The parents and the children come much later. They are the victims of a conspiracy and a crime, not the cause of the crime. The police and the narcotics department would do well to do their homework and put their act together in identifying the mafia, their depredations, and getting good convictions. NDPS Act is by far the most harsh legislation in the country. You see, there is 10 years imprisonment and 1 lakh fine in case of recovery. And look at rape, even after so much of deliberations on the Nirbhaya case, the punishment for rape is just 7 years, and here it is 10 years. Don't fault the law, fault your own proactive approach in the fact that you have not done hard work, you have not delivered a decisive blow on the back of the mafia.
A large chunk of the responsibility here lies with the police, and the police have not done their job. Vasireddy Amarnath is an educationist who joins us from Hyderabad, where all of this started. Please tell us, 26 schools and 27 colleges in Hyderabad have received notice notices and advisory from the police in Hyderabad saying that your students are clientele of this drug cartel that has just been busted. How bad is the situation? How afraid are the parents in Hyderabad right now?
Because government of Telangana started acting, the magnitude is clear to everybody. I feel the situation is equally bad in other cities like Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai and Delhi. I would say drug addiction is the culmination of the moral downslide. It all starts with addiction to smartphones. Today, in a city like Hyderabad, over 90% of the children who are about 13-year-old are using cell phone quite regularly.
No, you can't possibly tell me that this is because... No, sorry. Mr. Amarnath, you can't possibly tell me that children are using drugs because they have access to cell phones. We all have access to cell phones.
No,
we don't use drugs. Children are using drugs because they have access to drugs. Because drugs are available in their schools. Because once a parent drops off a child to school, we don't know what sort of biscuits they have access to. We don't know what sort of drug dealers or drug peddlers are peddling drugs near the school buildings and near their school corners, street corners. To put the blame, and I'm sorry, I've heard enough of this, to lay the blame purely on the parents' door is unfair. Do not make the drugs available.
I didn't say,
the drugs shouldn't be coming into our cities.
I didn't say,
are you telling me the police don't know? Are you telling me that it got this bad where you have movie directors and producers in Hyderabad who are being interrogated by the police? It got this far and the police had no clue. It's just now they've decided to investigate. This happened overnight. This did not happen because there was someone powerful who was allowing for this to happen. How dare you blame it on cell phones and parents? I think that's completely unfair.
For the last so many years.
No,
it's completely unfair.
I mean, I'm not blaming parents.
That's exactly what you just did.
I would say that school should own the responsibility. I would say that school should own the responsibility. It is the responsibility of the school to educate parents, to educate children against. In fact, I wanted to say that the downslide starts with smartphone. Smartphone alone is not.
I'm sorry, I refuse to accept that.
Most of the drug peddlers are operating on the principle of multi-level marketing.
I'm sorry, I refuse to accept
they get hold of one child.
What is government doing then? What is the role of government in that case? What is government doing? Why are they not doing awareness campaign?
Actually, that's a good question. Let's take that question to the representative of the government. And I'll come to you. Aijaz Ilmi represents the BJP. What is the government's narcotics program? When was the last time we saw a public service message go out about drugs to children? When was the last time the government started a program telling parents what they should be looking for, telling schools, principals, colleges, teachers what they should be looking for and how they should be more careful? Why hasn't the government done anything? And despite the fact that we've been running this story now for weeks, zero reaction from the government. It's almost like you don't care.
Well, in a sense, you are absolutely correct that there is a sense of apathy as far as the Narcotic Control Bureau goes in terms of proactivity. But a lot of blame has to be shared by both the police and the officers of the NDPS who control the narcotic, and also managements of school bodies and colleges who allow such a situation to fester outside their premises. Secondly, we have a Narcotic Control Bureau, which is the premier enforcement agency at the central level and who monitors various states. It is supposed to be extremely active. Public awareness campaigns have been going on in this country for the last 30 years, but this is more like an epidemic now, which is ever increasing for various reasons.
I've never heard of any campaign.
That we have to say no to drugs.
I've never heard of any campaign. I've never heard of any campaign. We hear of Swachh Bharat campaign. We hear about.
Come in here.
Ma'am,
hello.
I've run schools myself in Bangalore, and we've had advisories from the government.
But I have never heard in past 1 month. It's the Mirror now who has taken up this cause.
Police officers.
Because of Mirror now, we are getting aware that drugs are being sold.
So. It's a very important campaign. Yeah.
In Mumbai, I have not heard.
No, but you are being aware now. It is a reality which is being fought.
I'm so much concerned today.
It's been going on for a long time. It has to be fought by all of us. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Aijaz Sahab, there is no denying the fact that the government has done.
Vikram Singh Sahab, yes, sir.
Sir, what the Mirror now has done now is perhaps equal to all the 35 years efforts put in cumulatively by the government.
Right.
I have attended so many meetings, both in my official capacity and my personal capacity, sir.
Undoubtedly
and
so.
all the meetings look like a condolence meeting, and doing it just for the sake of doing it and getting over it in the next 60 minutes. And everybody who's tottering and trying to inject wisdom to all of us, we could be a little more proactive. We could do with a lot more imagination and see that disaster is at our doorstep. Half of the households of Punjab, households of Punjab, sir, has a drug addict. What could be a bigger tragedy than the Soda of India? He's been hooked onto drugs. Let us see the danger on the writ large on the walls.
Well, you know, I just want to point out here that if we keep passing the buck, if we keep saying
sir,
parents...
I totally agree. I totally agree with you, sir.
Dr. Ilmi, if we keep saying parents, schools, teachers, so if the schools do not have the authority to police the street corner outside of the school compound. That is the job of the police. Now you say we have a narcotics bureau. The narcotics bureau turns around and tells us that they don't have feet on the ground. They have to rely on the regular police. The regular police then are accepting bribes instead of actually nabbing peddlers. And we should stop nabbing peddlers and we should nab the kingpins. When was the last time a drug bust actually led to a really serious drug lord being arrested? We haven't heard about it. We haven't read about it because it never happens. Nobody ever goes up the ladder to find out who's behind the entire cartel. You pick up the people on the street who will be replaced by 10 more tomorrow because they're small drug peddlers. They don't really matter in the larger system of things. I want to go to Dr. Sagar Mundada. You work with young people all the time. Has there been any official communication in the hospitals, in the government hospitals, in the government schools, in the government colleges? Let's not even talk about the rest of the schools and colleges, about drugs, about the fact that we need to save our young people?
See, one thing is for sure that what level of commitment is required from everybody concerned is lacking. As far as the government is concerned, one good thing that I want to point out is that Mirror now is doing a wonderful thing. The other thing is, at least I can talk of Mumbai, I can't talk of the other cities, is the Mumbai police, the anti-narcotic cell has launched a good Hosh Mein campaign for the youngsters. We need more such campaigns. Hosh Mein as in these youngsters are getting blown away by their teenage curiosity. That is the primary reason why anybody gets addicted to drugs. The primary reason is not a decline in morality, like many of the experts have pointed out over the past 1 month in many discussions. The primary reason why any youngster goes and tries drugs is curiosity. He wants to know
peer pressure.
Peer pressure, very important. Peer pressure, curiosity, all of these things can be contained if at the school stage the schools are vigilant enough to tell their students about it, the parents are vigilant enough to tell their kids about it. We need to have syllabi which include drug addiction and what kind of side effects they have. We have lots of irrelevant data in our textbooks and the kids don't really know what drugs can do to them. There is a very important concept of gateway drugs. Nobody, generally, if we have 100 drug addicts, out of them, majority of them will first use gateway drugs. Gateway drugs are alcohol, cannabis and smoke. So they'll go and do that first. They'll find it exciting.
For the benefit of parents, that weed and grass, if you hear your children talk about weed or grass, there's trouble there.
There is a lot of trouble. See, because sadly, even on the internet and many non-professional people have falsely recommended that weed or grass or cannabis or marijuana, whatever you want to call it, is healthy. It is absolutely wrong. If you are vulnerable, if you are genetically vulnerable, just one consumption of weed. We have seen many patients after Holi, they take one glass of bhang and their entire life goes upside down. Just one consumption of bhang. So weed is not at all safe.
What do you mean by genetically vulnerable?
Genetically vulnerable as is you have some family history of depression, you have some family history of a suicide, you have family history of an alcoholic father, family history of a grandfather or some uncle who has suffered from alcoholism. Alcoholism as in they died because of excess of alcohol, not just social drinking. So that is a very vulnerable population that nobody recognizes. Everybody who tries alcohol is not going to become an alcoholic. There are certain genetically vulnerable people, and people who become drug addicts generally first try alcohol, then they try smoke, then they try cannabis, thinking that it could be very safe. But because they are vulnerable, they move on to something which gives...
Let me go over to our guest from Pune, who is a recovering addict himself, who's been kind enough and brave enough to join us. And I want to understand from him, And the other addicts that you may know of, what was the cause? Was it peer pressure? Was it a broken relationship or a wounded relationship with your parents? Did you feel unloved? Was it a lack of attention? What happened?
Yeah, so it's a mixture of all of it. It's broken relationships, peer pressure, excitement, curiousness to try new things, and troubled relationship with the family. Not feeling loved, as rightly Father Joe said, that you don't feel love, you don't have a rapport with your family, nor with your dad, nor with your mother. Your father is working, and then you don't even have your mother, and then you might not have siblings, or you have siblings but you don't have good rapport. So most of the time you're spending outside the house. And what's outside the house? There are friends, there is alcohol which is freely available, there are cigarettes, and now there are these drugs that are freely available. So all these factors play a very, very key role in making a person an addict to a substance. So it starts from college. When you attend lectures, you start drinking, and you get a different high when you're like sitting in front of a lecturer and you're drunk. And then slowly it moves on to trying drugs when you're in your first year, your second year, your friends introduced you to these new drugs that are in the market right now. So, you know, all these factors and how you were in your childhood, if you were abused, you know, and if you couldn't vent it out to someone, you couldn't tell that to someone that you were abused, and then people don't take you seriously. So it does stick along in your psychology for some time. So, you know, these wounds which do not have a particular outlet because you cannot openly express yourself to someone, these things do add up to, you know, not having someone to share these things and being able to vent it out. So all these factors, you know, make up to you going to alcohol, you going to cigarettes, you going to drugs in order to fill this void, in order to have a gateway to express these feelings. So these drugs help you get a relief from all the pressure that you feel within.
Right. I just want to point out that there was one statement that we picked up from the Thane Joint Commissioner that our reporter spoke to, who said a senior official has claimed that there have been instances where drug dealers have spiked water bottles of school-going children so that they develop an addiction and then become customers. Anubha?
My goodness. I'm having goosebumps actually today after watching this show, and that the drugs were available in the form of biscuit. They have been induced in biscuit. So I'm so much concerned for my child also today, and even so many parents are concerned. I'm getting so many messages from parents after this show was this issue was being taken up by Mirror now, that we are concerned if the drugs are available in form of biscuit or chocolates, then how do we get to know that whether our children are addicted to it or not? Suppose if somebody gave them biscuit, they will definitely take it. If a child is hungry, he is going out of school, he is coming from school, and somebody gives him biscuit or he buys a pack of biscuit, then he will definitely get addicted. Someone just now pointed out that even if you have a one drop of bhang, one drop of bhang, then
I'm sorry, ma'am. You tell the child not to take. You tell the child not to take the biscuit.
How and then how will we biscuit? Tomorrow it will come in the form of.
You can't do that. You tell your child not to take the biscuit from anybody.
Aijaz Ilmi, the government. Why don't you tell the police and the narcotics department to do their jobs? You tell the police and the narcotics department to do their jobs. Tell the police and the narcotics department to do their jobs.
You are right. It is the police and excise department's job to do it, and the government's job. We will have an advisory coming up very, very soon. I intend to meet the HRD minister very, very shortly on this and take up this issue. There should be advisory, the government can only give an advisory. The policing has to be done by citizens. Have to activate the entire system and get out of the police and excise. This has to be done.
Why is the Child Rights Commission? Why are they not doing awareness campaigns?
All awareness campaigns will happen unless we take it as an epidemic and fight this together. Unless the citizens and the government fight this together, this battle will not be won.
If you were kind enough to point out to this very concerned mother that she should be telling her child not to accept biscuits from anybody, then she knows now, because she's on a panel discussion on a national television channel and you happen to be on the same panel. Shouldn't the government have at least told us that? If the government today believes that we should be making sure our children are not even accepting biscuits, who's going to tell parents that? Who's going to tell parents? Is that not the government's responsibility? And if you're telling me the police is not doing their job, who does the police report to? Who does the police report to? What is the Home Ministry doing? What is the HRD Ministry doing? What is the Women and Child Ministry doing? Is this not their responsibility? Whose responsibility are the children of this country? Whose?
Faye. The awareness, you can have any number of awareness campaigns, but unless you fight this mafia, you will not win this battle. You have to fight this mafia on a daily basis. The stakeholders, the schools, the colleges, the management committees, the
you want us to fight with the mafia, sir?
We have to be together. It's a battle that needs to be fought together.
I just want to point out one thing.
Will the awareness campaign stop the mafia? Will the awareness campaign stop the mafia?
I accept that every child is its parents' responsibility. That a parent must take responsibility for the kind of time we spend with our children, for our children's well-being. We should talk to our children every day about their day. We should know what they're eating, what they're not eating, who they're hanging out with and who they're not hanging out with. But a parent can only do that if the parent has access to information. Are we to look through our child's bags?
True, ma'am. That's why I say it is the responsibility of the school to educate parents. Because today's parent is quite busy.
Who's going to
he or she may not know all these things.
Once again, I know that Father Joe Pereira put his hand up. I want to give him a chance to respond. Father Joe, go ahead. Father Joe, go ahead.
Yes.
Who, ma'am?
I think our whole discussion is deviating from the real purpose of this communication to the whole nation. We are going off into a problem of supply reduction. This problem has a double aspect. Supply reduction is one dimension, and that is the responsibility of the police and all that. Politics also comes in the way, because governments are running on these kind of drug mafia people. I'm not interested in that, because no matter how much you do for supply reduction, unless you get a strong body of demand reduction, that is where we come in. And please, for heaven's sake, don't glamorize drug abuse by telling me that children are getting it in biscuits and all. Come on. We are not getting those kind of dangers in our schools and colleges. We are having two generations of drug abusers today. The ones who were abusing drugs today have become peddlers. Who are these peddlers? They are the users and school dropouts who are coming in and attracting young children. Secondly, I want to tell you very clearly that our schools and our colleges are, as far as I know, ignorant about the weekend programs and holiday programs and the dropout student programs. They have rave parties, and that is where MDMA, ecstasy and all is brought in. The innocent school children below the teenagers are not affected, and this biscuits and all that is glamorizing the drugs, which I think we are going off the point. Let's come to the victims of drug abuse. Who are the victims? The children who have felt not loved, as we say, but also easy prey to these party drugs. Remember one thing, our society has become fun-loving, and therefore we are encouraging kind of recreational use of drugs. All these breezers and all that which came first. All these breezers brought in a whole lot of girls going into use of alcohol. And there are three factors which attract a child. It's not only the genetic predisposition, it is also the behavior choices that they make. And that is why the type of behavior that we notice in our children can be the markers of whether they are going to be addicts or not. And lastly is the environment. The combination of these three factors ultimately give us a full-blown addict. And therefore, we all can help in this program. The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, Kripa Foundation is one of the largest organizations. We have not given too much emphasis to awareness, because when it was done in the 60s and in the 80s and 90s, the resultant effect was the opposite. People became more interested. And therefore, we are having a very different kind of awareness, where we take people who have come out of this program, who have come out of this malady, and teach other people. In Dharavi, we have got recovered street addicts giving the message to others. That is the answer. Let us make this discussion a more human affair, and not all this law and order affair is okay. It has to be a blend. We in Maharashtra, let me tell you.
Well, you know, with all due respect, Father Joe, with all due respect, Father Joe, I agree what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. We must make this a more human affair. Parents should love their children more. Parents should spend more time with their children. But there is a responsibility that the law and order machinery must take on. There is a responsibility. If there is such a deep nexus and it's available in every corner. Let me also point out, the biscuits that we're talking about was not something we came up with. It was the Hyderabad police who have it pinned up to their evidence board, and they have shown it to the media. And we've just brought you what the Hyderabad police have shown us. So we're not in any way glamorizing this, where our attempt is to pass on the information that we have received. And it is pinned to an evidence board. We had the police officer explain to our reporter what these things were that were pinned onto the board. We're just pulling that out for the benefit of our viewers. It will take us a minute or two. In the meantime, Sagar, go ahead.
See, there are two things that I want to talk of. One is reduction in the parents, the schools, all of them telling that, okay, you don't need to go and do drugs. We need to be more sensitive to our kids. We need to have more permissive parenting. We need to be more proactive in our parenting, in our schooling, in our syllabi. All of that is there. But the second thing is, today we are having drugs that are concealed in 100 different ways, which nobody can predict. So the child does not know that he is taking drugs, and before he knows it, he is an addict. So for that, you require rehabilitative facilities. Yes. Now that has to be done by the government. I'll just tell you, opium is one of the most abused substances that you'll see in all over our country. There are only 6 government verified centers all over our country where proper authorized treatment is given for the same. So what are you going to do about that? We are talking of reducing drug abuse. That is okay. That is one thing. But we already have millions of children who are already drug abusers, and there aren't enough good facilities, there aren't enough good doctors, there aren't enough good psychiatric social workers who are going to rehabilitate them.
Right.
People who are running rehabilitation centers, most of them are non-doctors, most of them run pseudo-rehabilitation centers. You get drugs at these centers, not all of them, but that is true. Government has to be more proactive in setting up de-addiction centers, in setting up rehabilitation centers. It should not be primarily in the private domain. That is a thing that...
I know that our guest in Pune raised his hand as well, and he wanted to say something. I'm sorry I couldn't come to you earlier. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
Yeah. So in 2011-2012, when meth was completely outburst in the streets of Mumbai, there was this drug kingpin who was nabbed by the police. Her name was Baby.
Yes.
And she was nabbed with a lot of meth. And along with her, there was a constable who was also nabbed with meth in his locker.
Yes.
But after a few weeks, you know, that meth, which was originally meth, came to be called as Hajinomoto. So, you know, the government machinery and with what happened to Baby, no one knows. It just comes in the news that this drug kingpin Baby, she's nabbed, constable nabbed, but nothing's happened.
This is also a very common thing. The same product, once there is a drug seizure and we try to spread awareness that this is something that is addictive, the same product is just altered a little and the same product comes. First it was for for MD, first it was MCAT, then it became Meow Meow, now it's coming with some other name. So the same thing keeps coming. You can reduce the demand, but unless the supply chain is broken off, people are finding innovative ways to lace along drugs with different simple products.
Bring them in. Vikram Singh, go ahead.
Faye, this is something very, very common, that the exhibit seized from the criminals and the drug mafia gets substituted in the laboratory or at the police stations. Drugs become monosodium glutamate, that is Ajinomoto, or it becomes something like sugar powder or something, or castor sugar. I have 2 quick points to make of Aijaz Sahab and Father Pereira. Aijaz Sahab, this time has come, then we have to be cruel to be kind, to treat the disease and not just the symptoms. To treat the disease, Those who are found complicit or conniving with the mafia, they need to be dismissed, violating the provisions of 311 of the Constitution of India. Seldom has it happened, but more often what has happened is that those cases get whitewashed and everybody is acquitted after a span of time, because everybody is interested in feeding and breathing life into the lives of the mafia and not taking action against them. Father Pereira, one quick point with the greatest of respect, that I have the good fortune of studying in your schools, and unless one had suicidal tendencies, one never smoked, one never used gutka or pan masala, because our mouths were sniffed regularly both at home and in school, whether we had smoked or whether we had nicotine stains on our fingers or our teeth with stains or not. I dare say that today the teachers may not have the moral courage, or the parents may not have the moral courage to do that. But the fact remains that we have to have that tutelage and guidance, even if it means getting censured by our children. But at the same time, we have to be unsparing. As you were in your generation, I was subjected to unsparing, and I still am unsparing to my students. Therefore, this has to come. People may disagree with that this is not required, and perhaps it is a little too harsh, but that is what is required.
All right, so I just want to play this out for you. Our producers have this ready. This is what the police officer in Hyderabad explained to our reporter about the evidence of the narcotics that had been seized. Take a look.
This is a biscuit, LSD biscuit, because lysergic acid diethamide, that is the solution. They put one drop on this biscuit. Once the drop will sink into it, and whoever takes that biscuit, they will get the kick as the LSD plot. So similarly, these LSS seeds are called because lysergic acid only seeds are there. This is also same equivalent to the LSD, and this is the ecstasy pills which are being used mostly by the students and all. These are all, cocaine and MDMA. This is MDMA, that is
LSD, biscuits, cocaine, MDMA. I'm sure most parents don't even know what these things look like or what they're looking for. Anubha?
No. I'm not aware of all these meow meow, whatever the discussion is going on. It is a very new thing for me, because we have never heard of it. Our children are in school, not in college. So we are not aware what all these things are. What is drug is a very new thing for me. In so many forms it is available. My child not only goes to school, he goes to tuition, he goes to other classes also. What if he can get access to drugs in form of biscuit or some other thing near the tuition classes? How is the government going to stop? There has to be some mechanism to spread awareness. The government should now take it up. It's a very alarming situation now.
It's not just schools. It's not just schools. And I'm just thinking out loud here.
Not only schools.
So the children will come back from school. They're playing downstairs,
yes.
Near the building with other children or other teenagers who live in that same building.
Right.
They go out for movies together. How are we going to police what they have access to? Where they hang out in each other's houses, how are we going to police what they have access to? I completely understand what Father Joe is saying about the fact that we need to have improved, more involved, more secure relationships with our children, but we cannot police them all the time.
All the time.
And I want to bring in some voices. Jaya has been holding, Jaya's called in from Mumbai. Jaya, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Drug abuse is a malaise that is destroying the social fabric of India. First, the government must have immediately come down with an iron hand on the mafia. We have not only international mafia, but we have indigenous mafia. They are totally unscrupulous. They have to be dealt with an iron hand. There's no other alternative. They must be, with the help of Narcotics Bureau and the sister departments, all the policing should be increased. Voluntary organizations should also be used to track down these peddlers, and they should be questioned because they will give information on the bigger mafia gangs. The voluntary police organization should be used widely throughout the country to collect intelligence reports all over the country. And the central government, in collaboration with all state governments, now must organize a national campaign as if for votes. That has become the priority of the Indian nation. Thanks to Mirror now for launching a campaign in this direction. You should have hoardings, newspaper, advertisements, plays, TV, radio, emphasize on the effects of drugs. And we should have a holistic
approach. Ma'am, I would like to tell now, we have launched a movement called Happy Hyderabad with over 2,000 children. 2,000 children have come onto the roads. Now every day they are meeting their neighbors and telling parents, telling adults to see that the drugs is something which one should keep away. The movement is on. We have launched it already in Hyderabad.
I also want to point out that as editor of this channel, I'm offering this platform. I'm offering this platform.
I would like to come in here.
Yes, I'm offering this platform to anyone who wants to partner with us to pass on information to parents and teachers and to teenagers. Father Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, the essential quality of this attraction to drugs has come from a change of lifestyle. And there has been easy access to money, and therefore parents have given their children the liberty to go and enjoy. Now, please note one thing, that these victims, so-called victims, there are two types of victims. Formerly, when people used to do socializing with alcohol and later on socializing with drugs, we would say in 10 social party users, one would become a victim. But today, unfortunately, in 10 social party users, there are 4 to 5 becoming victim. And that is a matter of concern. So let me come back to the sociological dimension. Can we change our lifestyle? Our lifestyle of enjoyment. These are all drugs that are encouraging recreational use. And therefore, if parents and all of us can bring about a happier way of enjoying life, minus mind-altering drugs, and create good habits, it's the behavior that is making the big difference.
That's what exactly
the drugs have always been there.
I was telling that
today people
these are
are getting
21st
attracted.
century challenges to education.
I was about
to say that smartphone.
Let me just point something out. One second. As a working woman myself,
let me complete
it's
what
very
I
easy. One minute. As a working woman myself, part of a generation of working women and working mothers, it's very easy here to point out the fact that mothers are failing their children. Please tell me what it costs to live in our cities today. What does real estate cost? What do homes cost? What do school fees cost? What do college fees cost? How do we run households on only one salary? How do we run households with only one salary where only one parent is working and the other is not? Can we run a household? Can we afford the school fees today that's running into lakhs and lakhs of rupees? Can we afford the college fees? Can we afford the real estate? Can we afford the basic amenities that we need to buy in our cities right now, given the kind of money it costs, given the poor infrastructure in our cities? Even those of us who work take an hour and a half to get home every day. We're spending 3 hours on the road. Who's going to account for that time that we could be and should be spending with our children? This is an impossible situation. What are we going to do if we decide to give up our jobs today to stay home and look after our children? We will have to remove our children from those schools and put them in schools that are cheaper, and there are very few schools that are cheaper. There are very few schools that offer quality education at a low cost. We have to understand that this is a larger problem. It is not that we are a generation of women who decided that we are going to abandon our children for our own selfish needs. That is unfair and that is not true. To turn around and to blame today's mothers and say we don't love our children enough, we're not paying enough attention to our children is not fair. We're not going to work every day because we're selfish mothers.
I think what you said, Faye, is very, very correct. The important point is, as the parent here also pointed out, is that most of the parents don't really know about this.
Yeah, we are not aware only.
In spite of all the difficulties, the parents will remove time if they know that such a thing exists. So you have to make them aware of that first.
And who's going to tell them?
One, I think is the government's job. One simple thing that I think can be done is what happened in Hyderabad. All the schools in this country have to be sent letters. I think that would be a good starting point. It can be done. It does not require infrastructure. At least every parent will know that such a thing exists.
Yes.
90% of the parents don't know that.
That is exactly what I'm coming to. Can I come in now?
Dr. Ilmi, go ahead.
I need to point one more thing.
Can I come in now?
Dr. Ilmi, go ahead.
Can I please get a... with due respects to Mr. Vikram Singh ji, you said some very eloquent things which really matter. And Father Joe and the lady who are disturbed in the middle and has said, please tell your child. The government's responsibility and job is to ensure that drug mafia is uprooted in every form. But please understand that all of us need to be in this battle together. The stakeholders, the citizens, the parents, the school management committees, the college authorities, everybody, NGOs, because they're too smart and slick and a lot of money is involved. Unless we get together to fight this battle, to save this generation, it would be a losing proposition. What the government needs to be done, various campaigns, some of us will be reaching out and talking to our ministers and the government very, very shortly that there should be advisories issued straight away, and there should be get all the stakeholders together. Let's fight this battle together. The BJP government at the central level will not be found wanting. Some of us have already written to the HRD ministers to take action on these things, and I'm sure the government is concerned, but this battle is not the government's alone. It is your battle, my battle, school's battle, and unless we are together, we can't uproot the drug mafia in this country.
I appreciate what you're saying, but at no point did any parent or any school turn around and say that they don't want to be part of this battle. The only reason a parent is not part of this battle is because they don't have the requisite information. Nitesh is
not aware. Yeah. We are really not aware. Because of Mirror Now, today I know that so many drugs are being sold outside school. I was not aware of meow meow and other forms of drugs which are available. It's a new thing for me and for many other parents.
I'd like to share something.
It's a new thing for me.
Our guest in Pune would like to share something. Go ahead.
I agree with you.
Yeah, without the support of my parents, without the support of my counselors, without the support of the rehabilitation center at Muktangan, I wouldn't think I would have been able to pull this battle out. This addiction would have been very difficult. So family did play a very important role later on when my addiction was understood by the family what the disease is. So family does really play a very, very important role. But in the beginning, they did not know what it was. And later on, when they got to know what addiction was and how these substances affect the children and their mind, they easily adapt to the new lifestyle, the new changes. And then with their support, kids and children do come out of the addiction. So family does play an important role.
What kind of information? So I just want to ask our guest in Pune, what kind of information do you believe parents should be given at this point in order to make them aware, in order to sensitize them? Because I also want to point out that, Vikram Singh, for example, said indignity of having an addict for a child. There's also this whole social stigma attached to finding out that your child is using or that your teenager is using. Yeah. What kind of information do you believe parents should have access to?
So firstly, when a parent comes to know that a child is using, the parent need to be accepting that something like this has happened. Later on, the parent need to take the kid to an OPD where the parent will be told about what exactly is addiction, what exactly the disease is. So this information is getting to know more about what this disease is, how the person changed, what happened to his psychology that made him go to the drugs and not create human connection with their family in order to share their problems. So this information of what this person is and how the addiction is different from the person, because the behavior that this person is exhibiting is only because of the addiction. The person as a whole is completely different. He's good, he's talented, he's very good at the things he does, but only because of the addiction his life is devastated, his life is destroyed. When the parents come to know about this, they are sensitized and they get to know that, okay, this is a different personality altogether, and our person, our kid is intact.
Let me quickly bring in some more voices. Nitesh is on the phone line from Mumbai, I understand. Nitesh, go ahead.
Okay, hello.
Hello, good evening, Nitesh, go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello.
Nitesh, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I just got to tell you one thing, okay? We love our parents once, we love our parents twice, but they love us more than beans and rice. Please do not question parents. I'm very disappointed. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, Nitesh.
Actually, they're working. My mom, see, I grew up in an environment where both of my parents, they were both working, and they are still working actually. And they supported me. I was addicted to smoking actually a few years ago. And I got to tell you one thing. When I talked to my mom about this thing, she really got angry, but she supported me. She told me 2 years ago.
Right, there seems to a bad connection, but Nitesh is talking about how his mother supported him. Teresa is on the phone line from Delhi. Teresa, go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Is this Times Now?
This is Mirror Now. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Mirror Now. Yes, ma'am. I would like to share a story of mine. I'm living near Delhi region, and I've been using weed for a long time, and I wish to discontinue it. And while using it, I've found many places where weed is available. So I would like to show through your press that where all these things are available. And also I would like to share that these stuff that they are selling, which is wrong, is mainly sold near the college and school areas.
What are they selling?
Yes, ma'am.
What are the narcotics that are available near schools and colleges? What have you
not in the school and colleges. I've actually crossed my college and everything, and right now I'm suffering this problem from weed that I'm not able to leave it, but made my strong decision, and finally I'm trying to leave it. And while leaving it, I would like to share this story that where all I have been getting the weed from in near the Delhi region where I was living, and wherever across the India, wherever I've traveled, I've found many places where the weed is available, and I've seen that the police are also not helping in this. So I would like to use your press to bring it in front of the people that these things are available like this, and we can help people by just telling them. By telling them only, we can change those people who are selling it. We don't need to take a harsh step or anything. So I've already talked to many people. I need your help of your press in telling those people, changing their minds who are selling them in a loving manner. So we can do something like this. You can help me in this.
Of course, we will help you. I think you're very brave to have picked up the phone and called us this evening. We will help you in any way we can. Father Joe, is it also possible perhaps to reach out and we'll get contact details of this caller who's currently anonymous, and we'll pass them on to Kripa Foundation. If there's someone who can reach out to him and help him
Kripa,
through the process.
We are in 18 states. Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
We are in 18 states of India. We are in the remotest areas of India. Please connect with Kripa anywhere in the nation, and we will give you the help. By the way, this person who is talking about weed being available everywhere, universally it is available. The medical use of chemicals, whether it is alcohol or whether it is marijuana, the medical use is acknowledged. But what happens is that our addicts are not going to medically prescribed marijuana. They want adulterated marijuana. Even in Canada, I've just come back from abroad, even in Canada, the same problem is there. Let us not forget that we have to build up our children and our families in such a way that even if there are drugs available, they will learn to say no to drugs. And that is a beautiful formula. The formula that we use is people who get recovered have to keep on investing their recovery in reaching out to others. This is the most beautiful, positive message I would like to give, that there are a huge number of winners that we take to various colleges and institutions to tell them that there is a beautiful life beyond addiction, and we are made for this thirst for God, for love. Satanically, this thirst is imploded in all kinds of addictions.
Right.
When we treat a person, we have to reverse this and connect him back to love,
connect him
to
back
God.
to society. I just want to give Anubha Sahai a moment here. Anubha,
with patients, I'm not centering on drugs. I'm centering on the human being.
Right, Anubha, as a parent right now, as a representative of the other parents who are watching, are there any questions you want to ask at this point on behalf of other parents?
See, we just want, all the parents now are very concerned, and they are very shocked also after hearing all these incidents, because we are not aware that the drugs are available in outside school also, and the child will get addicted in such a way. So my voice on behalf of all the parents and is to the government that please start some awareness campaign, and you can also install different cameras outside schools, outside tuition classes, or because many cameras have been installed now in high-tech cities in various areas. So why not install cameras outside school premises, outside tuition classes, or wherever children goes, So and awareness is what is very important at this stage, because no one is hardly very few people are aware, and parents are aware that drugs are being sold in such forms. So we will definitely help it out. We will try to spread awareness through our forum, but I feel that government should come up with some awareness campaign like Swachh Bharat campaign and all they are doing. Our PMO can also address the issue in that उनका जो शो होता है मन की बात, मन की बात campaign is a very good thing which our Modi, President Modi is doing, Prime Minister Modi is doing. Yes. So he can definitely spread awareness by using Man Ki Baat. And government can rope in other NGOs and other organizations.
Hello,
Child Rights
Anchor,
Commission also.
There is a provision for this. Hello, there is a provision for this. Can I come in?
Yes,
Hello.
yes, go ahead.
There is a nationwide organization called. There is a nationwide organization called Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. They do a marvelous job, and every Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous have a wing called Al-Anon and Family Anonymous. Please come to our meetings nationwide. There are meetings for families. There is a meeting for Alateen, where we keep away teenagers from the use of drugs. Please use this method. Project their contacts. We will give you the contacts of Al-Anon and Family Anonymous, and all organizations that are working in drug abuse must have the self-help program of the 12 steps, which is the Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. Everything can be sorted out with the self-help program.
Right. All of this information of de-addiction, like Dr. Sagar Mundada pointed out, is extremely useful, but I still want to stress on prevention. If there is any way in which we can prevent our children from even trying drugs, prevent our children from becoming addicts, I think that would be a huge thing that we can go towards. Parents need to know, schools, colleges, principals need to work together, I agree, but the information must come from a central source. Colonel Ramjas is on the phone line from Bangalore. Go ahead. Hello, Ramjas, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Go ahead, sir.
Ma'am, good evening.
Good evening.
I think most of all the points have been covered, no doubt in that. One point I wanted to highlight, for example, police, Tahsildar and DC level, which is the channel to the government, and each police station, they know the jurisdiction of their respective places. And the whole country is covered by the jurisdiction of the police. And they are also under the command of Tahsildar. And Tahsildar can give the report to the DC. I mean, each and every police station knows what is the ups and downs in that jurisdiction they are going around. They can very well they can very well monitor this addiction part, and they can view and they can give the report to the Tahsildar, then DC, then government. This is my point, ma'am.
Well, that is a good point. I just want to get this last piece of information before we close the show. Sagar, I want to ask you this. We talked about, and Father Joe talked about the fact that changing appetite, perhaps someone who's turned into an introvert, someone who's doing badly at school. We've had previous experts talk about young people or teenagers who become aggressive, who don't like to be questioned. Unfortunately, that sounds like most teenagers. This is normal. I mean, this is normally the behavior that a lot of teenagers, especially boys, will display, where they get angry if you question them. They become needlessly aggressive. They become reclusive. They don't want to talk to their parents about their friends. How do we know? What are the telltale signs? Is there more information that you can give parents tonight?
One important thing is there'll be a lot of change in their sleeping patterns. A normal teenage fluctuation mood is different, and what you see in drugs is different. You can almost visibly see that he might get violent or he might get irritable for no reason at all. It will be out of proportion. What you're saying is absolutely correct. There are no very distinctive points. The thing is, for a very, very small stress, they might behave in a way that it is a very, very huge problem. Everything will be out of proportion. You need to have a very, very high index of suspicion. If your child is behaving so, as a parent, you need to think he might be doing drugs. Let's be safe and not sorry. Let's just check him out. It might
How do you
just
check him out? What is check him out?
You can go to a de-addiction center. You can go to any major government hospital OPD. You can get a pathology lab test done in their urine and their blood. Some tests are there that certain substances can be detected. But above all, if you want to really know, there is a concept of permissive parenting. There is a concept of proactive parenting, wherein you are like a friend to your child, and if you are that for a long period of time, sooner or later the child himself will come out.
Vikram Singh recommended a spanking.
I don't agree with that.
Why?
I don't agree with that because although it might be beneficial for a significant minority, majority of the people, majority of the kids will go into their own shells. They'll become even more isolated. They'll become addicts for sure. I don't at all agree with that. You have to have a proactive and a considerate approach. You have to be strict, but consider at the same time, spanking an absolute authority figure is not going to help out, at least in addiction.
Okay, I only have time for one last question. I'm going to ask that question of Dr. Aijaz Ilmi, who represents the BJP. Can you make us a promise tonight that the government will do better? Because right now what we have is nothing. Any sort of action from the government will be an improvement on nothing. What can we expect?
Well, what you can definitely expect is with this campaign and with the fact that we all understand that it's a very serious issue afflicting our next generation, our future, you will find that the government awareness programs and advisories to schools and the intense focus on this particular issue shall be sharpened in the days to come. I personally assure you of that, because a lot of us will be taking it up at the party level and speaking to our ministers and chief ministers as and when we interact with them. Secondly, unless the pressure is built up by channels like yours and otherwise and NGOs and contributory parents and this not only angst but concern that is we are seeing across all sections of society, unless this pressure is built up, you don't get the governments to act very, very easily. But this is something I must assure you that we will take it up. Suggestions by Father Joe, by the parent on your panel, by Mr. Vikram Singh, and various doctors and specialists on your board. It's a very important thing that the culmination of all our discussions must lead to certain tangible results which can be of benefit in fighting this immense battle. And I assure you, some of us will not be found wanting in this battle.
Well, a slightly open-ended promise there when you said the days to come. There's no outer deadline on the days to come. We are going to be tracking this on a daily basis. I still believe that this is the responsibility. There is a responsibility here at the door of the HRD ministry that is responsible for schools and education. There is a responsibility here at the door of the Women and Child Ministry that is responsible for children. There is a huge responsibility at the door of the Home Ministry, which is responsible for law and order, and at every state government's Home Ministry, which is responsible for law and order. Yes, parents need to be more responsible. Yes, you might think as the government that we don't love our children enough, but we think as parents that you don't take your job seriously enough. Where are the drugs coming from? If drugs are suddenly available to children at the age of 12, it means that the quantum of the drugs by kilogram coming into our cities has gone up. I refuse to believe that this is happening without the complete intelligence of the police force not being aware of it, not knowing which truck it's coming in, not knowing how it's being smuggled in. How is it getting on Air India aircrafts? Please tell me. Despite all of the security that we have in our airports, how did drugs make it onto an aircraft between Chennai and Delhi? Please tell me how this much drugs was seized in Hyderabad. How did they get there to begin with? The law and order machinery is turning a blind eye. There might be various reasons for that. The government needs to begin with, come up with an awareness program, because you are the only one who can do so. You are the only one who can bring together all of these stakeholders and put out valid and reliable information and not create more confusion. It is your responsibility. The government needs to push the law and order machinery to crack down on this and make this top priority, because none of it, Startup India, Stand Up India, Make in India, Swachh Bharat, none of it matters if we lose our next generation to drugs. None of it matters. This should be top priority for you. This should be what you are talking about in your offices from morning to night. Yes, it's our responsibility as parents, but we can't do this alone because we are not the police, we are not the government, we are not the doctors, we are not the de-addiction centers. This is your job. And to suggest that the media and parents have to put pressure on the government to get them to do their job is absolutely horrendous. This is your job. Nobody has to put pressure on me to do my job, and nobody has to put pressure on the doctors to do their job. Why do you need pressure? Why do you need to be reminded about what your job is? We're talking about protecting our children. The 23-year-olds on my team this evening in 2 hours managed to put together this panel. Why can't the government do the same? There are experts available. There are platforms available. There's time and there's energy that people are willing to give. You're just not, you have no intention. Your sloppy work is no longer good enough. We're going to keep a very close eye on how much action we see from our government. Thanks for watching.